Quality shea nut, best practices for production. Always collect ripe fruits from the ground. Never shake or knock the fruits from the trees, as they will probably be immature and have low oil content. It is best to process these fruits as soon as possible and never let them sit for longer than 1 week after collecting. Depulp them as soon as possible by hand or by letting animals eat the pulp. Do not use germinated shea nuts. You can tell that the shea nuts have germinated because they will have a white root coming out of the nut. These nuts should never be used and should be discarded. Do not use rotten shea nuts either. Within 1 week of collecting the shea nuts from the ground, you need to boil them. Do not boil your shea nuts in water longer than 40 minutes. Smaller shea nuts may need less boiling time than the bigger shea nuts. After boiling, sun dry the nuts quickly on a clean swept surface, preferably on mats or drying racks, and never expose the nuts to rain or dirt. Make sure the drying surface is always swept clean of sand and dirt before putting the nuts out to dry each day. Dehusk and winnow the shea nuts as quickly as possible, preferably within 3 to 4 days. Remove any bad shea nuts and any impurities. The bad shea nuts are the black or germinated kernels. Never mix your dehusked kernels of shea nuts with sand, sticks or stones or any other impurities. Continue to sun dry your shea nuts on clean surfaces and continue to remove all bad nuts. You need to test for dryness by finger squeezing. Less than 7% moisture for your shea nuts is ideal. The soft nuts are too moist to store. Only store the hard nuts. Store only the dry shea nuts in jute bags off the floor in dry and hairy conditions. Never store them in plastic, fertilizer or polypropylene bags, as this traps any moisture and the shea nuts will rot.